Hey friends, I am here today to tell you about a project that I'm getting started with. So a little while ago when I was kind of in a decorating frenzy of my house, I made a small macrame wall hanging. I'll put some footage here of that wall so that you can kind of see how it looks and how it ties in with everything. Uh, that was pretty much my first ever experience with macrame, and I definitely did not do a lot of research or planning beforehand. I grabbed yarns that I had that were the colors that I wanted. I found a series of free tutorials on YouTube, not like all from the same maker, but I just kind of found like for the center one, here's this tutorial, and then I found one that I wanted flanking it on either side, and then again on either side of that. I had no idea how much yarn to measure out. I was working with a relatively small space, so it being yarn, I think worked out, but it definitely was like stretchy and the knots were harder to get good definition with because they were so thin. Anyway, all this to say, I've not actually done a macrame project with real macrame cord before, but I've got a friend who's a teacher who wanted to commission me to make a piece for his office. To kind of match the colors that he has going there. So I'll put a picture here of what the office looks like, the space that I'm making this for. And I just got back from the store with the cord that I've picked out, and I need to decide for sure what order I want the colors to go in. So what we had talked about, he and I, was gray and light blue. So this is the gray that I found. I got it at Hobby Lobby. It was with the yarn rather than with the macrame, and it's a 3mm single ply, or like well, as a spinner, I'm hesitant to call this single ply, but it's like all the little threads are going in the same direction. Don't know if it'll focus. Don't know what I'm doing, but it's not like a big bulky ply. So I think that in macrame world, this is called single ply. So this is our gray. And then scoot it over there. I've got this medium sort of blue. It's called muted blue. The gray is called light gray, that I think is going to go really nicely in this project. And these are all the same weight and type of cord. And then the last color is water green, which to me also looks like a blue, kind of like a little aqua-y color. So these are my 3 colors of cord. And the project that I'm planning, I got a digital download off of Etsy because I'm not confident enough to improvise something like this. And this is by, oh, they don't have their name on it when you print it. But it also came with a basic knot step-by-step guide to help kind of walk you through Gullak macrames, so Gullak macrames, and I found them on Etsy. And my plan is, let me get my cords out of the way so that I can show you what I'm planning. Maybe we can keep all 3 in the shot, just kind of condense over here a little bit. Okay, so my plan is, this here has 3 panels, but I want to do 5 because the branch that my friend cut down from a tree in his yard that he wanted to use is quite large, and the space is quite large as well, and I don't think that this will be wide enough. So what I'm thinking is one color in the middle here, and then another color on either side of it, and then the third color for the outside panels, which I'm planning for those to replicate. I'm gonna have to wing those a little bit. I think I want to keep these diamonds going, so I'll have to figure out a smaller pattern that I can fit in above the diamonds. So kind of whatever part of the rest of this looks like it's gonna fit in there is what I'll use for that section. And what I'm trying to decide between is, do I want the gray in the middle and then muted blue and then water green, or vice versa. Do I want gray on the outside and muted blue and water green? So I kind of want it to have a gradient effect of like the lighter green blue into a gray, blue, gray. But I don't know which color I want to take center stage. So I'm going to play with that a little bit, and then I'm going to get started with cutting. Start cutting stuff, and maybe I'll even set up the branch and start doing macrame today. In typical form, I am getting started with a big project that's going to take up a lot of space right before we're supposed to have people over tonight. Fortunately, some of those people are the friends that this commission is for, so I don't think they'll be too bothered, but the other folks coming might not feel super welcomed if there's a massive branch blocking the doorway. So I'm gonna have to think about if I'm gonna have time to do this, or where I will stash it if I don't get through it before this evening. So that's my plan. I'll probably record a little bit of the process of cutting and making this. I won't show all the steps because this is a paid for pattern that I purchased. There are lots of free tutorials online if that's something that you're looking for. Because it's such a big piece and it's for a commission, and I'm not experienced at all with the quantities that I would need, I wanted something to tell me like, cut this length, this is how much you need, and I wanted it to be a big piece that kind of went together. I like how the lines on this all flow together. And the inspiration that my friend had sent me was very angular, right? Like there's some macrame that's very curved and flowing and billowing, and this one was very triangular or diamonds. And so I felt like this best went with the inspiration. So it was just to make my life easier, because if it's for me, I don't mind just playing and messing around, because I can adapt. But if it's for a commission, I want to be able to let somebody know, like, here's what I'm intending to make, here's the colors. I want to be able to go buy the quantity that I need and not risk that I'm going to run out partway through the project and have to either add a new color or try to track down some of the old color. So anyway, I'm like getting defensive about using a pattern, but it's just what made sense for me right now. I think if I were more experienced at macrame, I would be more comfortable with kind of improvising or creating my own design, but I'm not there yet. I'm learning, and that's what it's all about, right? Learning and growth. So come along with me while I get started on this project, and stay tuned to see what it looks like when it's done.
So step 1 was measuring out all of the cord for each section. The pattern specified for me how long the cord should be for the middle and then the 2 flanking sections, but I had to come up with an estimate myself for the third color. And this probably was the most tedious part of the process for me. It took a while, obviously, to tie the knots later on, but measuring out the cord is not fun. It's just a lot of counting and measuring, and I was definitely ready to get started by the time I got through all of this measuring. So
check in and show you the progress that I've made on this macrame wall hanging. So yesterday when I was going over the different colors that I had in the lineup, I was trying to decide between two arrangements, and I ended up just asking the person that this is for, and he said that he preferred the gray in the middle. So that's what we went with, which I think it's looking lovely. This was just yesterday. I have not touched this yet today. I'm getting ready to, and I'm hoping that I'll finish it off today. I haven't quite figured out exactly how I want to handle the end sections. So these are, the pattern, like I mentioned, only covers these 3 panels. So I'm going to have to come up with my own patterning here. I think the diamond motif is going to continue, and then maybe something to kind of finish the other open end of this diamond here. It's kind of what I'm thinking. But these end sections, the middle is the widest and longest, and then it's a little bit narrower and shorter, and then this is even narrower and shorter than the muted blue. This one is my favorite so far. I may change my tune once I work with the more greenish one, but I love this macrame cord. It's the thickness and the texture and the grip of it. It's really yummy is the word I'm thinking. It's very different than knitting yarn, and macrame is very different than knitting. This obviously is a lot quicker than a knitting project. It's not perfect. Looking at it now in the camera, I can see there are parts where, here my line is not very straight. Things don't quite match up. But you know what? It's handmade, and that's going to happen. And I'm learning. I'm practicing. I'm getting way better as I go along, and I'm honing my skills so that whenever I do this again in the future, I'm going to be that much more confident, and it'll go that much more smoothly. Whereas right now, this is only my second ever macrame project, and it's pretty simple. There are only actually 2 different knots that are used in the whole pattern so far. And it's just the way that you arrange them and how even and consistent you get them and how closely you follow measurements and things like that. So the knots themselves at this point, I'm feeling pretty good. I've got my hands where it's kind of like muscle memory, so that I'm not like, which goes over this and how do you do that? I'm just like cranking them out. So hopefully this last little bit will go even more quickly. I'll film myself working on it, and I know for the footage yesterday, I didn't film me finishing the muted blue sections because, well, A, it was a very long video, and B, it's a paid for pattern, and I'm trying to be mindful of that and not show the entire process on camera, but these end panels are going to be my own design. So no qualms about showing you exactly what I do here and telling you all about it. Well, I might have a qualm if I very closely follow much of the motifs used here in the middle, then I may not, give you a step-by-step instruction, but I don't mind showing parts of the process. So all that to say, it's coming along well. I'm feeling pretty good about it. I think it's not, the most flawless thing that's ever been made, but I'm okay with that. And, my friend who it's for saw it last night. They were over, and they're okay with it too. So it's coming along, and I'm going to get to work. Like right now, that's what I'm doing. So here we go.
first I wanted to try combing out the fringes, and so I used a wide tooth comb to try to accomplish that, but I had a really, really hard time and it was very tangly. I think this had to do with the fact that this was not 100% cotton. I tried a cat brush after that and really, really struggled with this first section, and so I actually ended up retwisting the fringes back together. After this, you can see me trying desperately to get them to come apart and really, really having a hard time. So I retwisted the fringes on this one section and left the rest of them alone. Then I laid them out on a cutting mat, used the comb this time just to kind of organize the fringes. And I counted down how many inches I wanted the fringe to be for this section. Laid down a piece of plastic to be my guide for cutting. I really wanted to make sure that I was getting it right and getting it centered, so you can see I'm lining up the center section, how I want it to be, and then using a rotary cutter to trim off the extra fringes. I did not film it, but I ended up later on using hairspray to secure the fringe before I cut it, and I found that that worked a lot better to keep it organized. You can see the one to the far right is starting to get a little bit disorganized, and so I came back in with hairspray, sprayed both sides lightly with hairspray, and then trimmed the edges up again just to make sure that they were really tidy. And I wanted to keep the fringe proportional to each section, so the middle one is the longest and the outside ones are the shortest on the fringe. That's it for this project. Here's the wall hanging in its brand new home. If you don't mind, comment on this video, like, and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you next time. Thank you.